good morning, evening, or afternoon, whichever one's going on for you at this current point in time. Today we're talking about miters and specifically trim work. Now, if you look very close in here, zoom in action, the person who did the trim here wasn't exactly what we call a professional. You can see the miters are undercut and there's gaps between the wall and the trim. It's almost like he wanted to save nails because he kind of tack, and then like 3 feet tack, and then maybe 2 more nails here. If you push in, would have actually closed that gap. Anyways, we're not here to judge, we're here to fix. But if I wanted to put, cut these out and actually put new trim work, I'm going to need some way to measure this here angle, and that is where we get the angle finder, right? This is from Saker. Again, Lexavon and a bunch of other companies make them, but you take this, you bring it right up to a corner or an angle you're trying to find, and then based off if you're doing a miter cut or a single cut, you're going to follow the inner or outer measurements. So in this case, we're looking here, but if you look really close, it's not a 45, it's actually a 46. So what is 45 times 2? That's 90. What is 46 times 2? There you go. So now that we know that this is a 92 angle, we can go and make our measure. Remember, you want to measure twice and cut once. So if you feel like it was 45 and a half, maybe 44.25, whatever the degree might be, you want to go as tight as possible. Don't just allow the wall and nails and caulk and other ways to just kind of cover it up and then the rest will get filled in with paint. Don't cut corners, please. If you're starting off a business in construction or anything like that, or maybe you're just trying to be a handy person, the last thing you want is stuff like this, because when you say, oh, I've never got anybody calling back to complain, it's because they said this is a learning experience, I'm never gonna call him again, I'm gonna go somewhere else. Just because they don't call back doesn't mean they're not mad with your services. They just didn't have the face to come back and complain. They just figured they would put you on a blacklist, and that's money you're losing while they talk badly about you to other people and they don't recommend your services. So let's go over to the bench. Let's get this cut up just so I can show you how you would make a new angle. Again, I don't have a miter saw, but the trim work and baseboard, shoes, any type of angle. Even if I wanted to put like a little shelf right here, it'd be the same thing, same angle. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, a right angle is 90-degree angles, and anything below that is an acute angle. Anything above that is an obtuse angle. Threw you back to high school or middle school or wherever you learn that. But we're gonna measure this up on a piece of wood. We're going to make our marks, and they're going to be at 46-degree angles, and you'll see how it makes it much tighter than just assuming everything is 45, cutting up a random 45, and then realizing that you got a bunch of gap. Remember, just because you can buy caulk in the store and make up for the difference doesn't mean you should if you can make a tighter miter cut in the first place. Alrighty, so now that we got this marked up, it's about 9 1/4 as far as length. I'm gonna just call it 9. Scribe it in the center. From here, you're gonna take a speed square, square level, any kind of angle maker or angle finder, and you're gonna make a 45-degree or whatever your measurement might be. Because the tool is showing 46, we're gonna do 46s. So with the pivot point right at the line you made, I'm gonna bring it up. Now when you see the number of the angle you want, remember, you're keeping that pivot point from moving. So we want 46. You see that? The end of your wood should line up with the degree you want. And then this is a 46. Let me grab my Hultefers. And I'm gonna make that mark.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
I royally fudged that up. Remix. Again, put lots of pressure on this. It also helps if you have one of those flat pencils. This is almost like a fat piece of lead with this carpenter pencil. So the ones you see at like Home Depot or wherever, the flat pencils, they typically have like a flat piece of lead that'll help get right up against that point. So you're gonna do the same thing on the other side from your pivot point. So the same thing from your pivot point, you're gonna bring it up and out until you have 46 parallel. Once you get to 45, you give it 1 more degree and give it some good pressure. Again, you don't want to move. You don't want to make any stray marks if you don't have to. That's your 46. Now, total honesty here, I do not have a miter saw. I'm kind of torn between the Flex Volt from DeWalt and the Flex 12. Both of them have 12-inch dual bevel, cordless, brushless miter saws. I'm not really in the position to just drop $600, $700, $800 on a miter saw if I don't do trim like that. So it's just not a good investment for me at this point. But if they drop in price, you know, I'll definitely pick one up. Safety first, don't do as I do. Line it up with your shoe and make your mark. Again, keep your hands away from the blade. Very stupid of me to have my hands anywhere near here, but you know, it's a learning experience, right? We either learn the right way or we learn with a few less fingers. Okie dokie. Now, of course, I just made a rough cut just for the sake of the video, but if you have a miter saw, this is going to come out tight and right. You just have to also remember to account for the thickness of your blade when you're making your cut. Cool? So, you would bring it in, right up to the edge. Same thing with the other piece, right up to the edge. You're like, oh my God, it's not tight. Of course it's not. But if you look and you press it tight, you got that tight miter. Sound good? So that's the same thing whether you're using base molding, shoe molding, any kind of trim, it's the same exact thing. So pick up one of these. And some people were saying that this slows you down because, 99% of the time they're going to be 90 degrees. Well, maybe you're in an older apartment. Maybe you're in a place where there's a lot of water, things warp, things shift. And you can't always rely on, everything you work on to be a brand new house, brand new building, brand new apartment. So it's always good to have one of these in your bag. You never know if you're off by half a degree or a degree. And that can truly make the difference between a tight cut and having to apply a bunch of caulk and paint to make up for your mistakes. Sound good? So awesome. Again, I am not a trim person. I'm not somebody who does carpentry, but every day you wake up, you should try to find a new skill and kind of keep building on what you know. All right? So until next time, work smart.